Fred Hampton was the chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panthers and a highly influential civil rights advocate. Fred Hampton constantly fought for the rights of minorities and made his chosen method for doing so clear in his speech on revolution and racism. In Fred's mind, the only right way to fight against oppression was for the oppressed themselves to form a united front. What I'm about to do now is analyze some of the things that made Fred Hampton such a great public speaker. The main thing I picked up on is that Fred has a distinct physical and verbal pattern he likes to follow when he speaks. When he begins, he usually starts in a casual, very kind of conversational manner, and as the content of the speech rises in intensity, his mannerisms get bigger, his voice gets louder, and things eventually reach a boiling point or a climax, and then right after that, things go back down to that same conversational tone that started the speech. The speech almost follows a three-act structure similar to like the most popular stories and screenplays. You can practically feel like within the speech itself there's a rising action, a climax, and a falling action. As far as the content of the speech, for this one at least, on revolution and racism, it does a good job, I feel, of just capturing the essence of Fred Hampton in basically a nutshell. So he's a bit jaded. He's tired of seeing all these sort of different revolutionary groups. He feels like they're all just fighting amongst themselves instead of actually doing what they are saying that they're going to do and promoting and going about creating some real change and push forward their mission of equality. Fred believes that only through togetherness can any of these groups stand a chance against their oppressors. It feels like on their own, they don't really have much of a chance. They're too outnumbered, they're too outgunned, the forces against them are just too strong. So instead of preaching to his audience about how his method is the best method or the most correct method, instead he gives them some actionable steps they can take to truly make a difference inside of their communities. He even uses himself as an example to prove that he does what he talks about doing. He brings up his Breakfast for Children program and how he's using it to make a difference in his area, and he even invites some members of the audience to join in on his Breakfast for Children program if they're around the area, or even if they're not. He has programs set up all around the different areas of Illinois where he operates. Fred Hampton in his time was absolutely a controversial figure, much like Malcolm X before him, but overall, I feel like his heart was ultimately in the right place when it comes from his goals and what he really wanted to accomplish. He understood that there was more to civil rights than just black empowerment. He understood that by standing alone, all the different minority groups really were just fighting an uphill battle against the system, and that the only way they could really incite change and just accomplish the goals that they set out to accomplish was that they had to come together, they had to work together, and ultimately that's something we all still struggle with today, is coming together. We live in a world that's so divided, and it's really a shame that we can't all just get along, you know. But what Fred Hampton knew was that only through unity could all these different groups prevail and achieve their common goal. He was certainly a very special human being, and he was taken from us far too soon. He was a brilliant speaker, an influential mind, and just a fundamentally, like I said, well-intentioned man, I believe, at least. It's a shame that his life was cut short like so many of these guys and so many of these influential civil rights activists, but luckily his legacy does still continue to live on today. His legacy lives on through his son, Fred Hampton Jr., who's a influential civil rights activist in his own right, but also continues his father's work on the Black Panther Party. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed my speech. I hope it was adequate, and on to the next assignment, whatever it may be.